there is a potential for tsunami for Russia and Japan, but there is no threat for tsunami here in California or the rest of our West Coast. We're working on getting more details, and we'll bring you more information throughout mornings on 2.
Teachers in the West Contra Costa Unified School District are on day 3 of a strike this morning, following failed attempts to come to an agreement with their district over the weekend. Our Amanda Quintana live at El Cerrito High School to bring us the latest. Good morning, Amanda.
Good morning. We are told negotiations on Saturday lasted 7 hours, but still no agreement between the teachers union and the school district. Now, before this strike started on Thursday, they had been negotiating for 8 months and not come to an agreement. But now that it has stalled, the state superintendent is even offering to step in and help the two come together. Educators say that they are underpaid compared to other Bay Area school districts, and that has led to a staffing crisis. They started off this year with 70 vacancies, and 1,500 educators have left in the last 5 years. Last week, there were 2 large demonstrations, and on Saturday, hundreds gathered for a rally and candlelight vigil.
You know, in history, this is history going down for sure. It's time for the district to step up, because we step up every day. You know, it's time to ratify a fair contract. In the new contract, we need to see a better pay, more help. They've taken some of our help away and increased our class sizes.
About 1,500 members of the Teamsters Union, including service and maintenance workers, were also on strike last week, but they reached a tentative agreement yesterday. It includes a 3-year contract with a 3% raise retroactive to July, a 4% increase in 2026, and a wage review in 2027. So they are no longer striking, and they're returning to work this morning, but the teachers will continue their strike. Picket lines start 45 minutes before classes start at schools all over the district this morning, and the union will also hold a rally at 11 at Richmond Civic Center. Now, the school district says that they will remain committed to keeping schools open during this strike. They say they are currently evaluating a counter proposal that the teachers presented during the negotiations, so that is what they are doing right now. They have invited the teachers union to again negotiate. That will be tomorrow. Live in El Cerrito, Amanda Quintana, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Thank you, Amanda. Across the Bay, there's a vigil planned every night this week in San Francisco to honor the life of a social worker who was stabbed to death last week by a patient at Zuckerberg San Francisco General Hospital.
He changed people's lives. There are people alive today because of him. For him to lose his life at work, when he was there to provide services to patients, it's not right.
People gathered last night at the hospital to honor Alberto Rangel. Authorities say he was attacked last Thursday by a patient named Wilfredo Arici at the HIV care clinic. Friends and colleagues of Rangel say he loved his job and that he died protecting others.
Alberto was there to help, and he was failed. My coworkers asked for help. Other coworkers had been threatened with text messages from patients. I'm waiting for you up front. Another one of my coworkers, a knife was pointed at them in the elevator a month and a half ago. Nothing was done.
The health department is promising a complete top-to-bottom investigation into improving safety at the hospital. The number of sheriff's deputies and other security personnel will be increased. The patient who is believed to have attacked the social worker is still under arrest.
Time now 7:06. An investigation into a deadly shooting in Santa Rosa leading police to Oakland. Officers with the Santa Rosa Police Department believe the gun used to kill Mark Kilgany back in October may have been dumped into Lake Merritt. You can see officers searching the lake right now. Kilgany was the manager of San Francisco's Condor Club and was shot and killed at his home in Santa Rosa. Later that month, police arrested and charged 2 of his former employees in the shooting. Police have yet to say whether they found that weapon.
As investigators continue searching for whoever opened fire at a child's birthday party in Stockton with deadly results, the owner of the property says the building should have never been used for a party in the first place. The owner of Monkey Space, Willie Collins, says the building is not meant to host parties, says it was originally leased for office space and video work. He says he had no idea that a banquet-style event was even happening there. 4 people died and more than a dozen others were hurt in what some authorities say was a gang-related shooting. More than 100 people were at the party celebrating a toddler's 2nd birthday.
I had a phone call from my tenants that, there is a lot of cars around right here. This property is not zoned for or approved for the banquet hall or party hall. That was illegal.
San Joaquin County also says it never received a request to operate a business at that location. Collins says he applied as a nonprofit through the county.
Well, neighbors in San Francisco's Marina District pushing back on plans to convert a grocery store into a 25-story apartment complex. The developer, Align Real Estate, wants to redevelop the Safeway on Marina Boulevard, building a new revamped store with dense housing on top of it. But neighbors worry about the impacts that temporarily closing the store would have on the community. Mayor Daniel Lurie has also voiced concern about the project despite his pro-development agenda. The proposal still has to be approved by city leaders.
Now to Southern California, where people in Altadena are marking a far more somber holiday season than in years past. Residents gathered to celebrate the lighting of Christmas Tree Lane. Volunteers helped to string lights throughout the display. The area is still recovering from the Eaton fire this past January. 19 people died and more than 9,000 homes, businesses, and other structures burned. This event was meant to show off the resilience of the community.
Last year it was a light, joyful time, and now it's more an introspective time.
People love Altadena, and a lot of the old-time volunteers wanted to come back, probably even more so because of the fire.
This year's display features more than 20,000 lights, many of them donated by the Disney Corporation. Organizers say none of the trees along Christmas Tree Lane was lost in the Eaton fire. The stretch of lights is the oldest large-scale outdoor Christmas light display in the country.
Marin County is not in good shape when it comes to Highway 101. If you're driving south, you might want to pay attention. It is solid from Roland Boulevard all the way down to the Civic Center. This is because of a couple of different crashes, the main one being at the Civic Center, where we had a couple in the back up there. It is very slow, so you should give yourself plenty of time. If you're driving to Marin, right now it's backed up from Harbor as you get to the Richmond Toll Plaza. And at the Bay Bridge, we are backed up here, and traffic is backed up from the Maze. Metering lights are on. 7:09. Let's go back to the desk.
Thank you, Sal. Technology used to reach a breakthrough in the decades-old cold case of the Golden State Killer is now largely off limits to investigators. Why they won't have as much access to DNA databases anymore.
One Giants legend added to the Hall of Fame, another snubbed. We'll hear from Jeff Kent about his election to Cooperstown and how much longer Barry Bonds may have to wait before getting another chance.
Jacoby & Myers has been a proud part of the California community since 1972. We've stood by our neighbors, helping hundreds of thousands of families get the justice they deserve. Whether it's fighting insurance companies or fighting for you in court, we'll stand up for you. At Jacoby & Myers, we know the stakes: your family, your health, your future. For over 50 years, we've been California's trusted name in legal care. If you've been injured, call us today at 1-800-5-MILLION, because you deserve justice.
7:13 now. Some of the stories we're following this morning. One man is dead and 3 others are injured after a shooting in San Jose's Willow Glen neighborhood. It happened around 3 o'clock yesterday morning outside a hookah lounge on Lincoln Avenue near 280. Police say the victims took themselves to the hospital. One ended up dying there. Neighbors say they're surprised at the violence in what's normally a quiet neighborhood. This morning, people are gathering gifts and food to distribute to farm workers to celebrate the holidays. A group behind an annual event says this year it's overshadowed by recent increased immigration enforcement. Coming up in minutes here at 7:30, we'll hear from some of the organizers about what they're doing differently. And then new this morning, award season is getting underway. Golden Globe nominations just out this morning. Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another took home the most nominations with 9, including a nod for Leonardo DiCaprio. Sentimental Value, a Norwegian film, had 8 nominations. The vampire drama Sinners also brought in 7. Golden Globes are seen as the kickoff to award season, and they'll be held January 11th.
Well, for years, they batted alongside Barry Bonds to form a fearsome power-hitting duo, but it's infielder Jeff Kent who's first going into the Baseball Hall of Fame. A panel of legendary ball players, executives, and media make up the Contemporary Baseball Era Committee that votes on the new Hall of Famers. Candidates need to receive 12 of 16 votes for induction. Kent played college ball at Cal. He won the National League Most Valuable Player Award back in 2000 and hit 377 home runs, the most of any second baseman in history.
The turning point in my career was with Dusty Baker, the manager that I got with in San Francisco. He was a hitting coach. You know, he really motivated me to get the peak performance out of me.
Well, Kent was the only player selected by the committee. The induction ceremony will be held in Cooperstown, New York on July 26. And while Jeff Kent gets the nod, his former teammate and slugger Barry Bonds was denied the Contemporary Era Committee. Bonds, Roger Clemens, and Gary Sheffield, along with Fernando Venezuela, received 5 or less votes among the 16 ballots. Bonds will now have to wait until 2031 when the committee meets again. So, Sal, what do you think of this? What do you think of this?
I was going to say that if you watch those era Giants, people forget how good Jeff Kent was. And I'm telling you, I sit there and watch those games, and they would always walk Barry Bonds to get to Jeff Kent. Well, Jeff Kent didn't take kindly to that. And he would just smack the ball.
So he stepped up. He stepped up.
So he had a lot of RBIs, and he was just amazing, a second baseman with that kind of RBI count. So I think he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame.
He does. What about the others? Barry Bonds.
Barry Bonds deserves to be, in my opinion, this man talking, he deserves to be there too. We'll see if he gets there eventually.
2031's the next time he'll have a chance.
Yes, sir. All right. Good morning, everyone. Let's go out and take a look at the Bay Bridge. If you are driving out to the MacArthur Maze, you can see it is backed up. So this is not the worst commute going, though. I think the worst commute going right now, this is the Richmond Bridge, not that one. The commute in Marin, it is solid because of several crashes we had, the most important one being right at the Civic Center. It is backed up from Roland Boulevard heading on south, and it's pretty slow. So if you are a Marin County driver, you need to get on the road early if you want to stay on the same schedule. 7:16, what about today's weather? Here is Rosemary.
Oh, Sal, we are into our dry stretch, day 17 now. We are looking at dry weather for the week ahead. There are hints that we may see some wet weather come our way next Monday. Outside our doors at this hour, a beautiful view over Santa Cruz, where the sun is now up. The official sunrise just a few minutes ago, and many of us will have the sun around the bay. Our inland cities may be covered in gray once again. Storm Tracker 2 here. We've got those storms. They're out there, just not coming to California. Take a look at areas over Washington, Oregon, atmospheric river targeting this area. 4 to 6 inches of rainfall, a possibility in some of the wetter spots for the Pacific Northwest for the week ahead. But this ridge is going to deflect those storms from reaching us. In fact, it's going to strengthen a little bit, and that's expected to bring up our afternoon highs, just a modest warm up. I'll show you those numbers in the extended forecast. But these future forecast model does a great job of showing you how the storms just continue to push up and over us. We begin to see this little dip in here. Ridge finally breaks down, takes all the way into the weekend, Saturday, Sunday. So temperatures will start to come down. And right now, Monday, again, we look to be right on the cusp. We may not get that wet weather, but we are hoping it actually comes into fruition, and we will be tracking it between now and then. Let's get on to those highways and check the visibility. We have Santa Rosa reporting half-mile here. The inner East Bay Livermore, 1.5 miles. Patchy in nature, which makes it an added hazard on those roadways this morning. And our temps bundle up. Temperatures are in the 40s. Half Moon Bay sitting at 52. You're the outlier. Upper 50s expected for Pacifica today. Low 50s for the areas inland that will again be covered in gray. Temperatures coming up slightly tomorrow. Warmer days look to be Wednesday, Thursday before temperatures drift once again heading into the weekend. But dry, dry, and more dry. Back to you.
Thank you so much. Some Bay Area soccer fans, they're disappointed in the slate of games heading to Santa Clara for the World Cup, why one of the biggest stars in the world won't be in the South Bay.
And they were all the rage about a decade or so ago, but now there's a big change in how the DNA from those consumer-grade test kits can be used by law enforcement. In a minute, we'll talk live with a DNA expert about why one genealogy website is cutting off access to law enforcement.
Time is 7:21. We have breaking news when it comes to BART. We have a major delay on the system, and part of it is because of a power outage, pardon me, on the system between, excuse me, between Powell and Embarcadero stations. There's limited service through the Transbay Tube. On the yellow line, there is no red or green line service. Pardon me. Limited blue line service between Dublin and Pleasanton. We're on it. We're going to have another update in just minutes.
Thank you, Sal. 722 here. As DNA test kits grew in popularity over the past 10 years or so, some of the resulting data became key in solving cold cases. There's now a new challenge for law enforcement looking to use those DNA databases to help solve old crimes. One of the most widely used kits, Ancestry, recently said its services were off limits for law enforcement purposes without a legal order or warrant. Let's bring in David Gurney, head of the Investigative Genetic Genealogy Center at Ramapo College in New Jersey, to figure out what this means. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, more than 1,400 cases have been solved with the help of genetic genealogy investigations, most of them from Ancestry. What change do you think this clampdown will bring?
So I think it's really important to clarify up front here that the change actually has nothing to do with DNA access. Ancestry has never allowed law enforcement to access their DNA databases. So there's never been a possibility of solving crimes or unidentified human remains cases in that way. The recent change that Ancestry made is saying that we can no longer access the public records that are housed on Ancestry. So these are the billions of records like census records, birth, marriage, and death records, newspapers, gravestone records, all of those kinds of things that people use to build their family trees. That's what Ancestry is now saying that we cannot access. It's not about the DNA, which we never had access to in the first place.
So what change does this bring?
This brings an enormous change because Ancestry has by far the largest genealogical database in the world. They have tens of billions of records that are easily available that they have received from the states and from the federal government and from governments around the world. So without access to those records, without the convenience of Ancestry.com, it means that families will be left without answers about what happened to their missing loved ones. Victims will, in many cases, be left without justice. And people who have been wrongfully convicted will, in some cases, remain in prison. There will still be a possibility to solve cases. It will just take much longer, and there will be some cases that will be unsolvable because the records that we need to access are only available in the Ancestry databases.
Here in Northern California, a lot of people remember the Golden State Killer case, which was largely solved due to old DNA. Can you sort of explain how the evidence, was found and became crucial in that case?
Yeah, so in that case, of course, everyone in California is familiar with it. The Golden State Killer, who we now know as Joseph James DeAngelo, terrorized the California community for decades. And in fact, even after he stopped his crime spree, he continued to torment victims and families of victims by calling them and reminding them that he was still out there. So people were afraid of this man decades later. Thanks to investigative genetic genealogy, they were able to take crime scene DNA from the various crime scenes and upload it to two databases that do allow access. Those databases are GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA. They then used records almost entirely from Ancestry.com's public records database to build up the family trees of relatives of Joseph James DeAngelo and to find out where he fit into that family tree. And so within a very short time of this technology being available, they were able to finally put him behind bars, bring justice to those victims, and bring a sense of calm and peace to those communities that have been terrorized by this individual.
Millions of people willingly put, every last bit of their information into these databases. Many of them probably don't even think that it could have been used in this way. What do you want people to know who are considering taking a step like this?
We do rely on people taking DNA data tests to do our work, but that's only the first step. So if you haven't taken a DNA test, please take one from Family Tree DNA and then opt into law enforcement searching. That's a choice that you have when you do the upload. As far as the public records, those are records that we as a society have decided to make public over time and through laws that have been passed. So I think people are aware that those records are out there, that the 1950 census, for example, the most recent census, we can look at that data. We can look at Civil War records, for example. All of that information is public. And I think people know that because they use Ancestry.com to make their own family trees. So I hope the public will realize that without this tool, it means that there is going to be a certain number of cases that will not be solved at this point.
All right, that's the time we have for the issue. Thank you so much, David Gurney from the Investigative Genetic Genealogy Center there at Ramapo College. Thanks again.
Thank you for having me.
Of course.
Well, time now 7:27. It's a growing price for homeowners in the Bay Area, but it may be getting worse elsewhere in the country. California's surprising rank when it comes to the cost of insurance.
And a new milestone for China this morning. Why President Trump's tariffs may not have been having as big of an effect as he hoped.
Well, it's a holiday tradition that gives back to farm workers in the Bay Area, while volunteers say this year's distribution event is much different than in previous years. And the trial begins in the murder case of an 84-year-old man whose death galvanized people in San Francisco to speak out against anti-Asian violence.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
It's 7:30. Welcome to Mornings on 2. I'm Andre Sr.
I'm Gassia Michaeli, and it's a busy one. Monday, December 8th, weather, traffic, a BART issue once again. We'll have to start with Sal in the traffic center.
That's right, Gassia and Andre, there is a major service delay on BART, and this is because of a power issue that's happening between Powell and Embarcadero Station. Let me put the BART map up here. There is limited service through the Transbay Tube on the yellow line at this time. There is no red or green line service and limited blue line service between Dublin, Pleasanton, and West Oakland stations. This is severely crippling the BART system. You can get there, but it is going to be a mess. I suspect that some people are just going to say, okay, well, I'm going to drive or do something else. We're trying to get in touch with BART, but this is because of a power issue between Powell and Embarcadero stations, according to the system. Not sure what that issue is, but it's really causing a severe issue. It's a major BART issue right now, getting in and out of San Francisco. Stay with us. We'll talk more about it. All right, let's talk about some of the other commutes here. I want to mention, if you're trying to get into the city with your car, it is already crowded. Before any of this happened, it was already crowded there into San Francisco. Also on the Richmond Bridge, we have a bigger crowd. And southbound 101 in Marin, those crashes have been cleared, but we still have a bigger backup now that the traffic is open. Maybe things will start getting better in Marin County. Now, what about today's weather? Here's Rosemary.
It's a cold, cloudy, foggy start once again. Sal, good morning to you. But we have a beautiful shot of the sunrise from Monument Peak up above the low clouds there, as you can see. As we get into the afternoon, we may struggle once again with that cloud cover for our inland cities. And if so, low 50s expected for you there. Closer to the bay, low 60s once again. Dry stretch, day 17 today. And in case you're wondering just how atypical this is, according to the National Weather Service, 31% of our winters, we typically get a dry spell like this of 24 plus dry days. I'll have a look at what we can expect for the week ahead and when the possibility of wet weather is expected to return, coming up in just a little bit. Gassia?
Thank you, Rosemary. Straight to some new information here on that breaking news we're tracking in Japan. A massive earthquake just off the coast there. A 7.6 magnitude quake struck a little less than an hour ago near the northern part of the main island of Japan and is said to have triggered a tsunami of about 16 inches in coastal communities there. We should note that nuclear power plants in the region are conducting safety checks. Officials say there is no threat of a tsunami here in California or anywhere on the West Coast as a result of this 7.6 magnitude quake off the coast of Japan. Of course, it's an evolving situation. We'll keep you updated through the morning.
Well, that is this story, an annual tradition to support California's farm workers during the holidays, looking a little different this year. KTVU's Tori Gaines is live in San Jose, where organizers are concerned about the increase in ICE operations. Tori.
Yeah, good morning, Andre. I'm here with the Farm Worker Caravan Group. We're actually joined this morning by the Executive Director, Ms. Darlene Tennis. Thank you for being with us this morning, Darlene. Now, I know it's been a very complicated year for our farm worker community, particularly as these ICE operations have ramped up. How has that impacted your event this year?
It's impacted every event for us this year. We don't promote any of our events on our website. We don't post anything. We don't even ask for volunteers. We work with our partner organizations. Anytime we are gathering farm workers because of the rhetoric, the hateful rhetoric that has been around.
And I mean, what are the main concerns for folks as you guys are going farm to farm, caravanning, bringing tamales and gifts to these families? What are their biggest concerns right now?
Yeah, as you know, normally we invite the media to come along with us, but this year we're not doing that because we don't need people following us or people doing whatever they want to do. But we still wanted to continue to bring them Christmas joy and show them a little love and just show appreciation for all the work that they do. I mean, everybody sits around particularly during the holidays, we gather so much, eating all the food, and people forget where all that food is coming from.
Yeah, and what does it mean to you to be able to bring some of that holiday spirit and food, the gift of food, to these farm workers who are putting food on our table?
Yeah, we're saying this morning it's a full circle because from the corn, the harvesting of the corn and the growing and everything, all the way through the hands of food workers that make the food, and then all full circle, and we're bringing it back to them.
Yeah. And I know you have volunteers that make the tamales. High food costs made it more difficult to make that happen this year. So did you partner with a local organization? I mean, we took a look at the tamales, guys. They're looking really good.
They're really good tamales. We did partner with El Tamalero to do the tamales this year. We wanted to make sure and work with an immigrant-owned business and really support small business.
Absolutely. Darlene, thank you so much for being here today, and thank you for supporting our farm worker community. We will be bringing you more information on this throughout the rest of the day, guys. We're live this morning in San Jose. Tori Gaines. Oh, quick question. How are the tamales, San Jose?
They're the best. I had chicken and pork.
From Santa's mouth to your ears, guys. Thank you so much, guys. Back to you.
Tori, thank you. For some other big stories around the Bay Area, nation, and the world, let's go to our Dave Clark, who's standing by in the newsroom. Good morning, Dave.
Garcia, Andre, thank you. Good morning. Well, a murder trial begins today in connection with the death of an 84-year-old man who was killed in an unprovoked attack. Vita Ratanapakdi died after being shoved to the ground while on a walk in San Francisco back in 2021. The suspect, Antoine Watson, is facing charges of murder. Now today, opening statements in the trial will finally begin more than 4 years after the incident that led to widespread protests over attacks on Asian Americans in San Francisco and elsewhere here in the Bay Area. Also today, the U.S. Supreme Court is due to hear a case that could test the limits of President Trump's executive power over independent federal agencies. The White House is challenging a 90-year-old ruling that says the president cannot remove members of independent agencies like the Federal Trade Commission except for specific reasons already stated by law. The hearing today comes after President Trump fired members of the Federal Trade Commission earlier this year without cause. Now the Supreme Court will decide whether that action violates the separation of powers. And some soccer fans are pretty disappointed over the World Cup matches that'll be played at Levi's Stadium, especially after it was announced that Argentina and soccer legend Lionel Messi will not be playing in Santa Clara. The teams that are guaranteed to play matches at Levi's are Switzerland, Qatar, Austria, Jordan, Paraguay, Algeria, and Australia, as well as the winner of the European playoff that hasn't been determined yet. Argentina and Messi will instead play in Kansas City. I'm Dave Clark in the KTVU newsroom. Now let's go back to Andre and Garcia at the desk.
Dave, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Time now is 7:38. Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is now in London to meet with the leaders of England, France, and Germany. Over the weekend, President Zelensky took part in negotiations with the U.S. aimed at ending the war with Russia. U.S. negotiators said, quote, progress was made, but two main issues are still unresolved. Who will rule valuable territories in Ukraine and a Ukrainian nuclear power plant? The plant is the largest in Europe and currently under Russian control.
Realize the last 10 meters to objective is always your hardest. That's where the friction of war really sets in.
President Zelensky says just last week, Moscow launched more than 1,600 attack drones, 1,200 guided aerial bombs, and 71 missiles at Ukraine.
All right, 7:38 here. We really can't say this too often because there's another major problem on BART. This is one in what many commuters would consider a long string of issues. At this point, there is a major delay in and out of San Francisco. We're being told that power issues on the track in downtown San Francisco are responsible for this. It's a Monday morning. It's not the busiest day for BART, but it's a rough way to start the week. We'll check in with Sal in just a minute here.
Yeah, all right. Next to business. Netflix won the bid to buy Warner Brothers, but apparently it's not a done deal. Pam Cook has new details of that and a look at a rally in the tech stocks in today's dollars and cents. Good morning to you, Pam.
Yeah, good morning. A lot going on. That was quite a surprise this morning. We'll get to that deal in just a second. First, another big deal affecting a Bay Area company. IBM announced this morning it is buying Bay Area-based Confluent in a deal valued at $11 billion. Analysts and IBM executives say adding Confluent will strengthen IBM's presence in artificial intelligence, which is certainly the topic in this section that everybody wants to get into. That news took Confluent stock up 28% when that opening bell rang this morning. And John Deere visiting the New York Stock Exchange. As we take a live look at the numbers, so we're going to get there. There we are. The Dow and the NASDAQ. The Dow and the S&P 500 are down. The NASDAQ started with a really nice gain with those tech stocks, but it has now just turned negative as well. All right, back to that deal. Paramount is launching a hostile bid for Warner Brothers, challenging that deal with Netflix. Paramount executives say they are going straight to Warner Brothers shareholders with the belief that keeping everything under one corporation is best for those shareholders. Netflix bid, you might remember, does not include Warner Brothers TV networks. Any deal is subject to federal approval. New numbers out this morning show China is the largest exporter of goods in the world. For the first time, China's trade surplus with other countries topped $1 trillion. That means China exports $1 trillion more in products than it imports. No country has ever had a trade surplus that high. It also appears U.S. tariffs have not had much of an impact on China's net output. China's exports to the U.S. have dropped, but exports to other parts of the world have surged. And a new study finds despite an increase for California home insurance, they are still in the middle compared to plans nationwide. Now, the devastating wildfires in Southern California certainly drove up home insurance costs here, but it's still relatively low compared to other states. That's according to a new UC Berkeley study. California's median home insurance cost is about $1,200 a year. The states with the most expensive insurance are actually the ones likely to see hurricanes or tornadoes, such as Florida, Louisiana, and Texas. I'm Pam Cook. That's Look at Your Dollars and Cents.
Pam, thank you so much. All right, time now is 7:42 this morning.
Let's get out to Sal. Bart, once again, in the traffic headlines.
That's right. Bart has limited service in and out of San Francisco because of major power issues between Powell Street and Embarcadero. And the way to summarize it is there is limited service in and out of San Francisco because of this major issue. There is currently no red line service for Millbrae. Take the shuttle train between SFL and Millbrae and transfer to the yellow line. Millbrae riders from Richmond take the orange Berryessa train and transfer at MacArthur to the yellow SF train. Yellow train is the one that making limited service into San Francisco. I think a lot of people are going to find that this is going to make a major delay on BART. We'll stay on it, and we'll have more on this coming up. Mornings on 2 will continue right after this. In today's Monday morning quarterback, the 49ers return to the practice field today after their bye week. They host one of the worst teams in football, the 2-11 Tennessee Titans, next Sunday. The Niners then go on the road to play the Indianapolis Colts on December 22nd, which is Monday Night Football. The Colts were once a super serious Super Bowl contender. They've lost 3 straight, and now their quarterback is out for the season with a torn Achilles. Daniel Jones was already playing with a hairline fracture in his left leg before he got hurt, and now he is done for the season. Former Cal star Aaron Rodgers is showing he's still spry at age 42. Look at this pass. Still got the arm. He threw for a touchdown, ran in one as the Steelers knocked off the Baltimore Ravens 27-22. The Ravens came back from 11 points in the final quarter, but they blasted the officials because of some of those calls at the end of the game.
Thank you, Sal. For all the cautions about the pitfalls and potential dangers about artificial intelligence, many shoppers are turning to AI to help fill out their gift lists. Fox's Liviana Calmi is live now with how people are using AI to track prices, even make purchases, right?
Right, Garcia. Sometimes you just don't know what to get that Secret Santa person, that extended family member, or even your friend. Well, I talked to one shopper who decided to use AI to help finish off his Christmas shopping list, and one expert tells me this is catching on.
Shoppers' habits are always changing, and this holiday season, they're adding AI to the cart.
It can really cut down on all that research for you.
Clicks from AI recommendations to online stores jumped more than 13 times last holiday season. And a MasterCard survey says more than 4 in 10 shoppers now use AI when they buy gifts. One of them is Jace Pomales, who has lots of nieces and nephews to shop for.
For me, it kind of streamlined my process of trying to figure out what I should get, what's age appropriate, what's within my budget.
He says AI even suggested something he never would have come up with himself.
A small bike. And would I have thought about that? Not necessarily, because, I guess that's the age. And what the information that it gave me is that's the age where most people will start riding their bikes for the first time. And then I know it's going to be meaningful. When I think back to when I was 4 years old and I rode my first bike, I can still tell you exactly what it looked like.
Tech creators who teach people how to use AI say it could also track prices, find promo codes, and organize holiday plans if you're specific with your questions.
People are no longer just using AI to reply to an email. I think finally people are starting to comprehend that they can use AI as a tool, as your virtual assistant, right?
She warns, though, you still need to be careful what you type into any chat system.
You do have to be aware and really become cognizant of not inputting your personal information into any of these AI chatbots.
One tip, she says, is to ask a site like ChatGPT to put all of those ideas into one PDF or one table so it's all in one place, easy to look at. Gastia.
All right, it's a whole new world out there. Thank you so much for your reporting. Now we are asking you to look inward. Our poll of the day asks, have you started your holiday shopping? We see more than half of you, 56%, amazing. You say not only have you started, you are done. About a third of you say nope, and then about 1 in 10 say you're a work in progress when it comes to holiday shopping. All right, 7:49, here's some big stories on our plate, and BART is among them. It's another huge wrinkle for commuters who would be taking BART on this Monday morning, Sal.
Yeah, Garcia, we have some major power issues. San Francisco between Powell Street and Embarcadero, there is a power issue. And now there is no Green Line service between Berryessa and Daly City, limited Blue Line service. There is no Red Line service, and there is a major delay on the San Francisco line in all directions. This is because of that power issue. There is limited service through the Transbay Tube on the yellow line at this time, so you can get in and out, but it's limited service. As I mentioned, no red or green line service. And so, again, a lot of people might be taking BART, or who would normally take BART, might be in the car. And we always check the Bay Bridge to when this happens, just to see. It does look crowded, although it was crowded before, so it's unclear whether or not more people will be joining us on this commute. At 7:50, let's bring Rosemary in with today's weather.
All right, Sal, thank you very much, and happy Monday to all of you. Another cold, foggy start for many this morning, and visibility is low in some spots. A live look here over the Oakland estuary. We do have a mix of sun and clouds around the bay, and that is likely to be the case as we get into the afternoon as well. Our inland cities, a little bit more of a struggle. We had a quake earlier this morning, a 3.0 near the Calaveras fault there near San Ramon, 3.0 magnitude. The depth is about 5 miles, so it's fairly shallow, which means you likely felt it. And as I move in closer, take a look at all the cluster here going on. They are minor, but again, most of them are fairly shallow. 1 to 2 magnitude, but Twitter is ablaze with a lot of folks kind of feeling that rattling. And if you felt it, you're not imagining it. It's going on at late last night into early this morning. Half-mile visibility in Santa Rosa. We've got 1.5 miles over Livermore. So again, be careful. When it's patchy in nature, sometimes it catches you off guard. Could be even more hazardous than when it's widespread. 46 in San Francisco right now, 54 at Half Moon Bay. Temperatures are chilly for most. We've got low 40s the inner East Bay as well as the North Bay. And then as we get into the afternoon, around the bay, upper 50s to low 60s. These are very much where we should be for this time of year. But those that are stuck under the gray sky day after day, low 50s for some areas in the North Bay as well as the inner East Bay, 50 degrees, the afternoon high for Antioch today. Getting into the extended forecast, we do have a brief warm up coming our way. Tomorrow is expected to be slightly warmer. And then Wednesday, Thursday, perhaps some of the warmest days, and into Friday when some areas will reach into the upper 60s. It doesn't really last. Temperatures come down slightly getting into the weekend with dry conditions throughout. Right now, our first sign of wet weather returning to the Bay Area looks to be next Monday. Andre?
Well, a record-breaking tour wrapping up in San Jose for a Grammy-winning Mexican rock band. Next at 8, how Latin music revenue is surging ahead of Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show. And mail deliveries getting a new ride. An update on the rollout of the Postal Service's new mail trucks and why they're expected to be a big improvement, not just for the drivers, but also for the neighborhoods they serve. Well, police in San Jose investigating a shooting where one person was killed and 3 others injured in the Willow Glen neighborhood. Officers responding to a report of gunfire early Sunday morning in the area of Lincoln Avenue near Kirtner. They arrived but found no victims. They soon learned that 4 men with gunshot wounds took themselves to nearby hospitals. One of them later died. Police have focused their investigation in and around a hookah lounge.
That doesn't usually happen here. It's a pretty quiet neighborhood. Yeah, I'm still shocked when you told me that there was a shooting across the street. I'm like, wow. It just doesn't seem realistic for this neighborhood.
San Jose police parked a mobile crime scene unit outside the 818 Hookah Lounge. Investigators were seen in the back parking lot, and there were boxes of evidence and evidence markers on the ground. A service was held in the nation's capital this weekend to mark 84 years since the attack on Pearl Harbor during World War II. Veterans attended the service at the World War II Memorial on December 7, 1941. The Japanese launched airstrikes on the United States naval and air bases at Pearl Harbor, Hawaii, drawing the U.S. into World War II. In less than 2 hours, more than 2,400 American service members were killed, including more than 1,100 aboard the USS Arizona. Wreaths were placed at the Freedom Wall to honor those killed in the attack and more than 400,000 U.S. service members who lost their lives during World War II.
We gather at this sacred place to honor all those who fell and those who are still with us and the families and the country of that time and as we go forward. Your presence here is a living reminder that they are not forgotten, that their service was not for naught, had value, and maybe, perhaps, set the stage for us being here today as a country.
There are currently only 12 living survivors of the Pearl Harbor attack. For the first time, none of them attended a ceremony held in Hawaii because all are over 100 years old and unable to travel. Well, here in the Bay Area, the USS Hornet Air and Sea Space Museum in Alameda held its own event to mark the anniversary of the attack on Pearl Harbor. The event included a ceremony titled "At Dawn We Slept, By Dusk We Wept." The program drew visitors to learn about the history of Pearl Harbor, the sacrifices of the greatest generation, and the impact on that day on America's military and civilian communities. The United States Postal Service is now starting to roll out new vehicles called duck trucks. The trucks are meant to help make USPS drivers' jobs easier and safer. They have a shape designed to keep drivers better, give them better visibility and backup cameras as well. Many say the upgrades came at the right time. People rely on mail service no matter the weather conditions for medicine, bills, and much more.
We have front cameras, we have side cameras, we have anti-lock brakes, and we also, which is not good for now, but we have air conditioning. It also has a emergency braking that if there is something in the back, it'll automatically stop the truck.
USPS workers say there is more space inside to organize. They are built-in tables and a layout that makes the workload of more than 400 stops a day more manageable.
Teachers in the West Contra Costa Unified School District still at odds this morning with their district. Who's back on the job and what teachers are holding out for at the start of another school day that is anything but normal. A presidential trip this week with the economy in focus will explore the new moves by the Trump administration meant to ease growing concerns over rising prices. Then law enforcement agencies losing access to what could be key evidence in solving cold cases. Why DNA test company Ancestry is closing the door on an important investigative avenue. We'll examine the potential impact.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Welcome to Mornings on 2 at 8 o'clock. You're live this morning at an overcast, foggy day here in the Bay Area, but the sun is coming out and we continue that cold weather pattern that's kept us chilly for so long. Thanks for joining us. I'm Andre Sr.
Good morning. I'm Gassia Michaeli on a very busy Monday, December 8th. There's a huge wrinkle on BART. We'll get to that in a minute after we check in with our Rosemary Roscoe.
Yes, guys, more than 2 weeks of dry weather now, and we're going to go another week. A live look outside our doors where As Andre said, a mix of sun and clouds. A live look from the Oakland estuary. Temperatures are on the cold side this morning, most of us in the 40s, and we are dealing with fog once again. In Santa Rosa, the North Bay reporting patchy dense fog, visibility down to half mile. The inner East Bay, Livermore dropping below 2 miles. Be prepared as you get onto the highways this morning and bundle up before you head out the door. 41 in Oakland right now, 46 in San Francisco. I'll have a look at the afternoon highs for today. The minor warm up coming our way and the next possibility of wet weather in that extended forecast at 8 o'clock. Let's see how the highways are doing and especially how Bart is doing with Sal. Good morning.
Good morning, Rosemary. There is a major delay on the San Francisco line in Bart in all directions due to a power issue between Powell and Embarcadero stations. There is limited service through the Transbay Tube. On the yellow line at this time, there is no red or green line service and limited blue line service between Dublin, Pleasanton, and Bayfair stations. So all the lines are affected, although BART is still running. It is not going to be the same. Get to the stations early, and if you are planning, if you're timing the trains, it's not going to work for you this morning. Now, more people may be on the road as a result, so we're going to be keeping an eye on the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza, and that is backed up before the maze, and the metering lights are on. We have another update just a few minutes ahead, but now let's get back to the desk.
Thank you, Sal. Happening today, teachers in the East Bay are on day 3 of their strike after failing to come to an agreement with the West Contra Costa Unified School District over the weekend.
KTVU's Amanda Quintana is at El Cerrito High School with the latest from there. Amanda.
Yes, well, the strike picket line here just began where they're starting some chants. There are teachers here, and picket lines are starting at a lot of schools here across the district. So we are at El Cerrito High School. The latest on the negotiations is that they lasted 7 hours on Saturday, but they still did not result in a deal between the school district and the teachers union. Now, before the strike started on Thursday, the two had been negotiated for months, and now that it has stalled, the state superintendent is offering to step in and help the two come to an agreement. Educators say they are underpaid compared to other Bay Area school districts, and that has led to a staffing crisis. They started off this year with 70 vacancies, and 1,500 educators have left in the last 5 years. Last week, there were 2 large demonstrations, and on Saturday, hundreds gathered for a rally and a candlelight vigil.
You know, in history, this is history going down for sure. It's time for the district to step up, because we step up every day. You know, it's time to ratify a fair contract. In the new contract, we need to see a better pay, more help. They've taken some of our help away and increased our class sizes.
About 1,500 members of the Teamsters Union, including service and maintenance workers, were also on strike last week, but they reached a tentative agreement yesterday. That includes a 3-year contract with a 3% raise retroactive to July, a 4% increase in 2026, and a wage review in 2027. So they are no longer striking this morning. They are supposed to be returning to work, but teachers are continuing their strike. Now, picket lines are starting here about 45 minutes before classes start at many schools here in the district. Again, we're at the high school, but there are other picket lines at other schools. We're told down the street there's an elementary school where a lot of the children are actually getting involved in the picket lines as well. So we're going to show you that in the next hour. They are also having a rally at 11 at the Richmond Civic Center. Now, for what the school district is saying, they say they're keeping the schools open. They're currently evaluating a counter proposal that the teachers presented this weekend, and they have invited the teachers union to continue negotiations tomorrow. The teachers union, I just spoke to someone, they say they are excited to continue these negotiations tomorrow, but they're frustrated that it has taken so long. They presented this counter proposal on Saturday, so they were hoping to get an answer a little bit sooner. Live in El Cerrito, Amanda Quintana, KTVU Fox 2 News.
Amanda, thank you. President Trump is focusing on the economy this week. Today's is expected to host a roundtable discussion with farmers about a $12 billion aid package to help farmers affected by his trade policies. The president will head to Pennsylvania tomorrow to tout how Americans are benefiting from his economic agenda, such as lower energy prices. The White House says most big price spikes were locked in under the Biden administration when inflation soared.
And what you see going on here today is voters looking forward as opposed to looking back. This is called prospective versus retrospective voting. And as we enter the holiday season, as folks start thinking about affordability issues, start thinking about housing and the basket of issues.
A Fox News poll shows voters' confidence in the economy continues to drop. 25% last month rated the economy as excellent or good.
Rural hospitals are raising concerns about how President Trump's immigration policies are affecting them. Rural hospitals tell the Washington Post they cannot provide adequate health care due to spiraling costs. The Trump administration wants companies to pay a $100,000 visa fee to bring skilled workers from overseas. But rural health facilities, which already face staffing shortages, now potentially have even higher costs, including visa applications, legal fees, and labor expenses. Fees for nonprofit health care facilities only cost $460 to $1,000 in the past.
The use of consumer-grade DNA test kits skyrocketed in popularity over the past 10 years or so, and the resulting databases were sometimes used to help solve cold cases. Now, one of the most widely used kits, Ancestry, recently said its public records are off-limits for law enforcement purposes without a legal order or warrant. This includes records on the census, birth, marriage, and death, and other records used to build family trees. Such records were used to help find and lock up the Golden State Killer in recent years.
Thanks to investigative genetic genealogy, they were able to take crime scene DNA from the various crime scenes and upload it to two databases that do allow access. Those databases are GEDmatch and Family Tree DNA. They then used records almost entirely from Ancestry.com's public records database to build up the family trees of relatives of Joseph James DeAngelo and to find out where he fit into that family tree.
More than 1,400 cases have been solved with the help of genetic genealogy investigations.
Time now is 8:07, and the BART issues may affect the Bay Bridge. We're going to go right to the Bay Bridge. It does seem crowded. It's hard to tell whether or not we have more people because the BART troubles started after the commute had really began, and some people may have already been at the BART stations. Remember, there is a major delay on the San Francisco line in all directions due to a power issue between Powell and Embarcadero stations. There is limited service through the Transbay Tube on the yellow line only, no red, no green, and limited blue service this morning because of the issue. We are following it, and not sure how long this is going to last, but it's definitely going to be different on BART. Let's talk about some of the other commutes, other parts of the Bay Area. Highway 4 is slow, as it normally is, from Railroad to Willow Pass, and 880 is slow this morning in pockets between 238 and Fremont. It's not the worst we've seen. San Mateo Bridge had a crash on the span, and that has traffic slowing on that bridge. So we're going to keep an eye on the San Mateo Bridge for you and follow up with you next time, see if I can pull that up. You can see it's a little foggy. I can see some flashing lights there. So this is going to be a tough commute. 8:08. Let's go back to the desk.
Thank you, Sal. A new twist on the rush for holiday gifts, how artificial intelligence is really challenging that notion that it's the thought that counts.
San Jose-based Adobe out with new features for YouTube creators. The upgrades for its free Premiere mobile app promising to elevate content creation.
Jacoby & Myers has been a proud part of the California community since 1972. We've stood by our neighbors, helping hundreds of thousands of families get the justice they deserve. Whether it's fighting insurance companies or fighting for you in court, we'll stand up for you. At Jacoby & Myers, we know the stakes, your family, your health, your future. For over 50 years, we've been California's trusted name in legal care. If you've been injured, call us today at 1-800-5-MILLION, because you deserve justice.
6:12 here, straight back to that breaking news we've been bringing you on BART. There's a major delay on multiple lines, and it's causing issues again for riders this morning.
Yeah, Tori Gaines, she is live at the Warm Springs BART station in Fremont with the impacts and where the problem actually started. Tori.
Good morning, guys. We are actually at the Berryessa BART station here in San Jose. It's a little bit closer for us this morning, but take a look over my shoulder, guys. We're not seeing very many riders here today. The news about these delays came out about 40 minutes ago, so I'm thinking that some of these riders have found other ways to work today. But currently, there's no green line service between Berryessa and Daly City, and there is also no red line service operating at this time. Now, blue line trains are only operating between the Dublin and West Oakland stations. Now, this was all first reported around 7:20 this morning. That's when BART says a power issue between Powell Street and the Embarcadero stations caused this backup. Now, as of this time, guys, we do not know when service might return to normal, but we're going to keep you updated on this. We're going to keep reaching out, and as soon as we hear back, we'll let you know right here on Mornings on 2.
All right,
we're live this morning in San Jose. Tori Gaines. Oh, thanks, Garcia.
No, I was going to say, I'm sorry. It is a very busy Monday. Tori, thank you. We get to bring you in here repeatedly throughout Mornings on 2. We have to go overseas now where we're tracking another major story here, that magnitude 7.6 earthquake off the northern coast of Japan. It triggered a tsunami alert for the country. Several people were injured at a nearby hotel. Japan's prime minister says an emergency task force is being set up to assess the damage. USGS says severe shaking caused damage, but that the impact should be localized. We're working to learn the exact number of injuries. Government leaders are conducting safety checks at nuclear power plants in the area. We should add there is not believed to be any tsunami threat to us here in the Bay Area or on the West Coast. One of Covered California's top executives says 400,000 policyholders could find themselves in limbo if Congress doesn't extend COVID-era health care subsidies. Covered California's executive director says insurance costs could double for people enrolled in the state's health insurance marketplace. The program covers just under 2 million Californians right now. California could lose $2.5 billion in tax credits if Congress fails to act. One man is dead and 3 others are injured after a shooting in San Jose's Willow Glen neighborhood. Happened around 3 o'clock yesterday morning outside a hookah lounge on Lincoln Avenue near Interstate 280. Police say the victims took themselves to the hospital. One ended up dying there. Neighbors say they're surprised at the violence in what's usually a quiet neighborhood.
All right, you just heard Tori talk about BART issues. Definitely have them. We're going to go to the Bay Bridge to see if those BART issues are affecting the bridge. And I think what happened is this happened after a lot of people had already gotten in the car. Some people may be getting back into the car because those BART issues where they have limited service in and out of San Francisco. But it doesn't look any slower than it would on a regular Monday, so I guess that's the good news. Let's talk about Highway 4 this morning. We have Highway 4 and 680. They're slow in Contra Costa County, and we've had some slow traffic there for sure in the usual spots, but those commutes are looking good. And we did have some earlier issues on the San Mateo Bridge. They've cleared whatever was up there, but we still have some slowing on the San Mateo and on the Dumbarton Bridge getting over to the peninsula. At 8:15, let's talk about today's weather. Here's Rosemary.
Brave in the big chill once again, Sal, and the cloud cover as well as patchy fog. Outside our doors at this hour, a live look from KTVU over the shores of the Oakland estuary, where we have a mix of sun and clouds there in view. Storm Tracker 2 here, the ridge of high pressure locked in over the west, deflecting those storms. Pacific Northwest seeing quite a bit of rain this week. In fact, an atmospheric river targeting this area, 4 to 6 inches of rainfall by about Thursday, Friday timeframe for some of those weather prone areas, and they have advisories in place. But for us, this ridge is deflecting those storms. The Futurecast model does an excellent job of showing us the parade of rain that just continues to move through. But for us, not so much. We've got this ridge finally breaking down into the weekend, and our first opportunity for rain right now looks to be next Monday. So we are still several days out. We will get a little bit of a warm up as we roll into midweek, and I'll show you that in the extended forecast. The fog right now in Santa Rosa, half-mile for you there. Livermore also dealing with some fog this morning, 3 miles there. Just be careful as you get onto the roadways. It could come without warning. 46 degrees right now, San Francisco, 41 in Oakland. Bit of a chill in the air, and these temperatures haven't really budged since sun rose earlier this morning around 7:13. Afternoon highs for today. day. Upper 50s to low 60s for our Bayside communities, but our inland communities struggling under that gray sky. Low 50s will be for you once again. Temperatures will be slightly warmer tomorrow. Warmer days rolling in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Upper 60s in the forecast for our warmer locations. And then we'll slide just a little bit as we head toward the weekend. Back to you.
Well, breaking records, Mexican rock band Maná wraps up its tour in San Jose. Live expert analysis and how Latin music revenue is surging as another big name gets ready to take the Super Bowl stage. Back-to-back sold-out nights at San Jose's SAP Center this weekend. Mexican legends Maná wrapping up their Beber Sin Aye show, the 30-day run, named after their iconic 1992 ballad, took multiple generational fans on a journey through classic hits and new music, all while delivering a powerful message of unity. Frontman Olvera also echoing the sentiment of unity, telling the packed arena not to let fear prevail and to keep fighting, while also highlighting that Latinos are essential to the economy here in North America. And global Latin superstar set to make history on the Super Bowl halftime stage, Bad Bunny. But this is about more than music. It's about money and impact. He's sold out residency, pumped millions into Puerto Rico's economy, and now Santa Clara is bracing for its own economic boost, even as there has been some right-wing backlash over his appearance, and it continues to grow this morning. So what does this moment say about the rising power of Latin artists in the U.S.? For Insight, we welcome Jose Valentino Ruiz, a U.S. Speaker of Creative Economy and Global Arts, Entrepreneurship at the University of Florida, professor as well. Thank you for joining us, Jose.
Hey, a pleasure.
All right, so let's start with this. We see these Latin music stars, you know, really making a big impact on the economy. And the growth has just been tremendous year over year. But who's actually buying this? A lot of these artists like Bad Bunny perform in Spanish. So does this go beyond just Spanish speakers as well?
Oh, absolutely. You know, there's $1.4 billion that are being generated U.S. recorded music revenue in 2024 alone, according to the Recording Industry Association of America. There's also 16% year-over-year growth, making it the fastest growing genre in the United States. People from all demographics are gravitating towards Latin music, and Latin music now represents nearly 10% of the entire U.S. music market, a historic high, and streaming consumption of Latin music has tripled since 2020.
So where's this coming from then, if some people may not even understand what's being said? Is there some sort of a new breakthrough where people are learning Spanish, or is it just the beats of the song they're learning, you know, maybe how to sing it in Spanish and that's what they know? What's going on here?
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think, you know, a lot of listeners are gravitating towards music that invites communities and peoples from all walks of life and cultures. Being Puerto Rican myself, and actually a very distant associated cousin with Bad Bunny himself. I'm not sure that he knows that yet, but that's another story. Yeah, we actually have related family.
Wow.
But you know, people are wanting to come together, and so Latin music is a genre that is encouraging listeners to come together as a community, whereas other genres is more about streaming and listening and kind of more siloed music experiences, where Latin music is all about people of different cultures, right? I mean, to even be Puerto Rican is to have Taino Indian, you have the West Africans, you have the Spaniards, and just all walks of life. And so it's the music, but it's also the ethos of the genre of Latin music as a whole.
And just to highlight the continued influence here, we have Dua Lipa learning to sing her songs in Spanish, doing a duet on stage in Spanish. She's, you know, English Albanian, and she had to learn the language as she goes on her Latin American tour. I got to say that's pretty impressive. And I wonder what that's going to mean for the future here. I mean, are more people going to learn Spanish, or does this, you know, this sense of community of oneness, does it, you know, does it invite this type of understanding and maybe urge to learn about different cultures?
No, absolutely. Listen, I think in regards to Dua Lipa, this shows how global and interconnected the music landscape has become. It highlights the international respect for Latin creativity and also demonstrates the economic confidence that industries have in Latin artists. And so we think about also the ticket sales. They average between 5 to 10 million per U.S. stadium. There's high tours generating estimated from 120 million to 150 million in local economic impact per major city, hotels, restaurants, transportation. This is the result of what happens when people start embracing Latin communities and Latin cultures. And I think while there are distinctions between the Latin communities, one common theme across all of Latin America, Afro-Latin countries, and Ibero-Latin American culture is the focus on unity. Where there is dialogue, where there is community, there's respect for one another. And I think people are seeking to find those communities.
So I only have a few seconds left here, but I do want to ask you, what do you make of the controversy that was raised by some when they found out that Bad Bunny, who's a global international superstar here, was going to be performing, and they're saying this doesn't fit, you know, he doesn't even sing in English. But what did you make of the controversy when it sparked over Bad Bunny performing at the Super Bowl halftime show?
Sure. Well, you know, Bad Bunny is actually not the first Latin artist to perform in the Super Bowl. I mean, just a few years ago, we had Shakira and J-Lo. And you know, my expertise is in creative economy. So from that standpoint, I think the numbers are very clear. Latin artists contribute billions to the U.S. economy, elevate local businesses, and create cultural unity. So that's the impact that I think everybody needs to be focusing on, no matter what side of the political aisle.
All right. Jose Valentino Ruiz, U.S. Speaker of Creative Economy, Global Arts, Entrepreneurship, and University of Florida professor and distant cousin of Bad Bunny. Thank you for joining us this morning. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for your insight.
Yeah.
All right. Giving back to the Bay Area's farm working community, how a caravan of volunteers is helping spread love and appreciation to those essential workers as immigration operations keep many families on edge.
Then even before the first World Cup match, there's some disappointment for soccer fans, the big stars who are not likely to make an appearance here in the Bay Area.
Well, a standstill for some BART trains this morning, part of the latest problem with the transit system. What we know about what's causing the delays this time and how long repairs are expected to take. From a shooting at a San Jose mall to an airport mobility and the World Cup draw, Mayor Mahan from San Jose joins us live with an update for South Bay residents and beyond.
From KTVU Fox 2 News, this is Mornings on 2.
Good morning and welcome back. I'm Gassia Mikaelian.
I'm Andre Sr. Today is Monday, December 8th. More chilly weather continues and has not let up, but the sun is out. So you're going to have a little warm up if you want to stand in the sun. That's what I had to do the other day.
Just a little, yes, you're right. Good morning, both of you. Although some of our inland cities struggling with that gray sky. Talked to one of our colleagues yesterday who lives in Antioch. He said, haven't seen the sun in weeks. Giving you a look here up above the clouds where we've got fog rolling by and blue sky on top. This is going to remain the case as we get into the afternoon. Partly cloudy skies for our coastline and our bayside communities. Inland, it could be another socked-in day. So the foggy one out there this morning and the chilly conditions. Day 17 of this dry spell. I'll have a better look at what we can expect for the week ahead and when the chance for rain returns coming up in just a little bit. 8:30, a lot of traffic trouble to report this morning, and Sal is on top of it. Sal.
That's right. We still have BART issues where there's major service disruption into San Francisco because of a power issue in San Francisco. And it is one of those things where you need to give yourself extra time if BART is your way of getting to work. All directions are affected because of a power issue between Powell and Embarcadero stations. There is limited service through the Transbay Tube on the yellow line at this time. There is no red or green line service and limited blue line service between Dublin, Pleasanton, and Bayfair stations. So that's what you have to deal with. Meanwhile, if you're on the roads, you might see more people joining you on the roads. We have a southbound 880 slow. We have slow traffic on the San Mateo and Dumbarton Bridge due to earlier issues. And at the Bay Bridge, we are backed up this morning all the way out to the MacArthur Maze. At 8:31, let's go back to the desk.
Let's go deeper on that breaking news here that's causing major issues for BART commuters. Big delays at stations across the Bay this morning.
Yeah, KTVU's Tori Gaines is in San Jose at the Berryessa BART station with what we know about the issue right now. Good morning to you, Tori.
Let me take a step out of the way so you can see a big group just headed upstairs because their train was not canceled, but we actually just spoke with a woman who was heading into San Francisco today. She said her train was canceled, so now she's heading home to work from home. Now, currently, there is no green line service between Berryessa and Daly City, and there's also no red line service operating at this time. And blue line trains, as Sal said, are only operating between the Dublin, Pleasanton, and West Oakland stations. Now, this was all first reported around 7:20 this morning. That's when BART says a power issue between Powell Street and the Embarcadero stations caused the blackout. Now, we also spoke to a morning commuter who came down to San Jose from Oakland today. He avoided many of the snaggles. Came from Oakland down to San Jose today. What did you see on the BART line?
Not too much. I heard the delay announcements, but it was a pretty smooth ride for me. So I was lucky today. It looked a little full, so yeah, like you'd expect it delays going on.
Now, as of this time, BART has not yet said when service is expected to resume. So if you are heading into the city for any reason for work, be prepared for delays or make alternate plans this morning, guys. We're live this morning from San Jose. Tori Gaines, KTVU, Fox 2 News.
Story we'll keep on top of. Tori, thank you so much. None of this, a holiday tradition to support California farm workers, looking a bit different this year. A caravan full of toys and food, including tamales, going to farms throughout the state. But organizers say they're taking precautions this year due to the increase in ICE operations. Organizers are not publicizing these giveaways to protect concerned farm workers and their families. Fears of deportations are leaving many California farms shorthanded this year. U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics say more than 155,000 farm workers left the labor force by July of this year.
Some soccer fans are disappointed over the World Cup matches that will be played in the South Bay, what's being called the Bay Area Stadium, especially after it was announced that Argentina and soccer legend Lionel Messi will not be playing in Santa Clara. The teams that are guaranteed to play there are Switzerland, Qatar, Austria, Jordan, Paraguay, Algeria, and Australia, as well as the winner of the European playoff, which of course has yet to be determined. Argentina and Messi will instead play in Kansas City. Let's go down to San Jose, where the community is still reeling from a shooting at Valley Fair Mall on Black Friday. Prosecutors are pushing to have the alleged shooter, a 17-year-old boy, charged as an adult. The case brought renewed criticism of how the justice system handles juveniles accused of serious crimes. Let's welcome, as we do every month here, San Jose Mayor Matt Mahan to Mornings on 2 for his take on this and what else is happening in his city. Thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me, Garcia. Good morning.
Good morning. Do you, Mayor, agree with the decision to charge the 17-year-old as an adult?
Well, I think in this case it is likely the right choice because we see this pattern of a lack of accountability, a revolving door, if you will, in a number of cases, including juveniles who are involved in organized crime, so gang-related activity. We're not seeing sufficient intervention. And look, I don't think the goal is to be punitive. We're not trying to lock young people up forever, but there have to be consequences. This same individual who began firing a weapon in a crowded mall and hit 3 people had been caught earlier in the year with a concealed and loaded weapon illegally, was convicted of that, and basically given a slap on the wrist and said, please, told, please don't do that again. And then here he is firing off rounds in a crowded mall. So I'm looking for the right balance. I think we do a disservice to juvenile offenders when we don't intervene, get them connected to rehabilitative services, and hold them accountable for engaging in those services and turning their lives around.
The shooting on Black Friday reminded many people of the deadly shooting that happened on Valentine's Day at Santana Row. A child gunned down while he was just out shopping with a friend. What do you think is happening in San Jose that can cause a teenager to bring a gun to a mall on the busiest shopping day of the year and open fire, hitting, according to police, a gang rival and some innocent bystanders as well? Like, what's happening even before we get to that point?
Yeah, it's a great question. I do want to remind people that statistically, San Jose is literally the safest big city in the country. This is not a common activity, but as you point out, we did have, it was actually a stabbing, not a shooting, over at Santana Row earlier in the year. And again, it was youth. It was, I believe, a 13-year-old stabbing a 15-year-old. So what we are seeing, Garcia, is, and again, these are individual cases, a very small number of them, but extremely disturbing. We are seeing that organized crime, gangs, are explicitly cultivating and recruiting young people to engage in their dirty work because they know there'll be no consequence or very little consequence. And so what I'm calling for is that we actually enhance the penalties for adults who are involved in recruiting and encouraging young people to engage in organized crime and be members of gangs and engage in gang-motivated violence, that we allow law enforcement to Mirandize, meaning read the Miranda rights to juvenile offenders and actually question and interview them so we can figure out who in their life, which adults are actively cultivating or grooming them for these violent acts, and create greater intervention and accountability. So these are rare instances, but to see children engaging in violent acts is incredibly disturbing. I'll just end on this point. We are investing millions of dollars in San Jose in getting upstream of these behaviors by investing in after-school programming, late-night gym. We have tattoo removals. We put over $6 million a year into programs focused on at-risk and justice-involved youth. But it's not enough if the criminal justice system isn't willing to intervene and provide supplemental services.
All right, we'll watch for those developments. Let's talk about another issue we often visit here, homelessness. You hosted 3 gubernatorial candidates at a new interim housing site that could potentially change the lives of 132 people who are now on a path toward long-term housing. Looking back a bit, you have been somewhat at odds with Governor Gavin Newsom in some areas when it comes to policy and his conduct on social media. What do you want to see in the next governor of California?
It was great to be able to tour 5 of the state's leading gubernatorial candidates around a solution in San Jose that's working. San Jose has added over 1,000 interim units this year. We have tripled our shelter capacity and reduced unsheltered homelessness faster than any other city in the state. In fact, we have reduced the number of people living outside in San Jose by nearly 1/3 in just the last 3 years. And it's because we have invested in these safe, dignified, but immediate and cost-effective alternatives to the streets. So I took 5 of the leading gubernatorial candidates. I've invited all of them. I know another group will come through in January. I want to show them what's working, and what I'm asking of them and what I've asked of Governor Newsom and where my disappointment has been is really around a few things. Number one, partnership. The state had been consistently investing in interim housing through a program called HAP that was zeroed out in this year's budget. We can't stop funding solutions to our top priority when budgets get tight. Budgets are a statement of our priorities. So that's number one. Number two, I was really surprised and disappointed that the governor vetoed the sober living environment bill from Assemblymember Haney. We need to have dedicated sober living environments where people can engage in abstinence-based programs if that is their choice at a minimum. Yes.
Mayor, can I ask you about kind of the gray area between compassion and enforcement? There's a new survey out by the Public Policy Institute of California this morning. It shows that homelessness is no longer the top concern for people if we look statewide. It's been overtaken by the cost of living and the economy. Obviously, they are linked. Are you concerned that people are so worried about their own household and their own well-being that they're not able to extend, compassion or even interest to those who are living on the street?
Well, the truth is these issues are interrelated, as you point out, and they want to see us tackle all of them. In San Jose, we are reducing fees, speeding up approvals, making it easier to build housing. We're investing in smarter, cleaner energy solutions. We're trying to tackle cost of living from the two greatest sources of rising costs, which are housing and energy costs. At the same time, people expect us to address unsheltered homelessness and the human suffering on our streets. To your point about balance, though, San Jose is leading the way in the state because we are offering the compassionate option of safe interim housing with services like addiction treatment and job training. We are also enforcing our Muni Code. We're enforcing quality of life crime. We're holding people accountable. That actually creates an incentive for people to actually come indoors and take advantage of the services we're offering. So we believe it's a balanced, all-of-the-above approach that's going to help us ultimately end this era of encampments.
Okay, I wish we had more time. I was going to ask you if you're going to Kansas City to see Lionel Messi or if you're staying at home for World Cup. What do you think? Are you getting on a plane or no?
Party's going to be in San Jose.
Okay.
We're looking forward to it. We'll have concerts, drone shows, watch parties. We're going to have a great time.
Yeah, it was fun to have the watch parties for the drawback on Friday morning. All right, Mayor, that's our time. I appreciate your joining us. We'll see you again next month, if not before.
Thanks, Cassia.
Thanks.
Well, it's a growing prize for homeowners in the Bay Area, but it may be getting worse elsewhere in the country. California's surprising rank when it comes to the cost of insurance.
In today's Monday morning quarterback, the 49ers return to the practice field today after their bye week. They host one of the worst teams in football, the 2-11 Tennessee Titans, next Sunday. The Niners then will go on the road to play the Indianapolis Colts on December 22nd. And we're showing you this highlight here, or low light, from the Colts, who were once a serious contender for the Super Bowl. Oh, but Daniel Jones goes down. He's now out for the season. With a torn Achilles. He already had a hairline fracture in his left leg, and he is gone. He had been playing pretty well, too, but now he couldn't even make it off the field, as you can see. All right, former Cal star Aaron Rodgers, look at this, 42 years old. Look at this pass. Oh, nice throw there. He threw that touchdown. He ran one in himself. There he goes. He's just going to run it in. He's 42 years old, the former Cal star, still looking pretty good. Now, Baltimore did try to come back in this game from an 11-point deficit, but they complained that the officials were not being nice to them. Anyway, they lost to the Steelers. Tonight at SoFi Stadium, the Los Angeles Chargers host the defending Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Monday Night Football. Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert is questionable after surgery on his left non-throwing hand that happened a week ago. With a banged-up Herbert, the Eagles are 2.5-point favorites. The Chargers say he will start, but he has any trouble. Guess who the backup quarterback is here on your San Diego Chargers? It's Trey Lance. Remember him? That's the backup.
All right, back to that breaking news regarding BART right now. Commuters are delayed with major delays, or dealing with major delays in and out of San Francisco. Right now, there is limited service through the Transbay Tube on the yellow line. There is no red or green line service through the tube. Transit officials say a power issue between the Powell Street and Embarcadero stations caused this delay. Electricians out there now working to fix this problem. We'll keep you posted.
Artificial intelligence making inroads in this year's holiday season. There has been a big jump in the number of people turning to AI for gift recommendations. One MasterCard survey says more than 4 in 10 shoppers now use AI when shopping for gifts. Some use it to get organized, others to get creative.
For me, it kind of streamlined my process of trying to figure out what I should get, what's age appropriate, what's within my budget.
You do have to be aware and and really become cognizant of not inputting your personal information into any of these AI chatbots.
AI can also be used to track prices, find promo codes, organize holiday plans. Experts say the more specific you are with your questions, the better the results. Meanwhile, whether you're shopping with AI or on your own, we're asking if you've even started your holiday shopping. We see almost half of you say you are a work in progress, 47%. The next two groups almost evenly split, but those of you who are already done have an edge over those who have yet to start. You can tell us what you're doing or not doing by scanning that QR code at the top right of the screen, or head out to KTVU.com/vote.
All right, 8:48 your time. There are some big deals and announcements involving some big Bay Area companies.
Pam Cook back in studio with this in today's Dollars and Cents.
Starting with a really surprising announcement this morning, that hostile takeover bid that came in this morning. Paramount, Skydance, led by Larry Ellison's son David Ellison, launching a hostile bid for Warner Brothers following the announcement that Netflix won the bid for Warner Brothers. Now the difference, Netflix deal does not include the TV networks. Paramount Skydance plans to go straight to shareholders with the importance of keeping it all under one roof. We're going to continue to follow that developing story and the impact it will have on all the customers. As the opening bell rang this morning, Netflix stock dropped about 4%. Shares in Paramount and Warner Brothers are up this morning. And as we take a live look at the broader markets, it has been a little bit of a fluctuating day with the numbers starting out in positive territory. But boy, big downturn in the last hour with the Dow Jones now down 170 points, a third of a percent there. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ also struggling, a little bit of a loss there. We do have the Federal Reserve meeting this week, so that will certainly set a tone for the markets. President Trump says he will issue an executive order to regulate AI and limit state authority. The president posted on social media that it's not fair for companies to have to get dozens of approvals every time they want to start a project. However, many parents say there are not enough protections in place. Right now, there are many lawsuits from parents against AI companies alleging the chatbots encourage their teens to commit suicide. IBM finalizing one of its biggest mergers ever. The tech giant is spending $11 billion to buy Confluent, a data streaming platform based in Mountain View. Tech analysts say IBM is investing heavily on enterprise software to expand its reach in AI. That deal is expected to close by the middle of next year. Stock prices for both IBM and Confluent are up this morning. Shares of Confluent rising about close to 30%. Another Bay Area company, Adobe, and YouTube, both based here, are launching a new partnership. Adobe unveiled a new content creation hub on its mobile app. It comes with exclusive transitions, effects, and video templates from some of the top creators. It also allows people to instantly publish short videos to their YouTube channel. Adobe's hoping to better compete with other tools like TikTok's CapCut and Meta's Edits. The new hub is available starting today. I'm Pam Cook. That's a look at your dollars and cents.
All right, and Pam, we have to go right to Bart because Bart still has some issues. Bart has limited service on the yellow line into and out of San Francisco, and this is because of a major power issue that happened between Powell Street and Embarcadero. The electrician's working on it now. There is no green line service between Berryessa and Daly City. There is currently no red line service. And Bart, now they are recovering, it says. It looks like they've made some. In fact, I'm reading this right off their website. Pardon me. It looks like normal train service is being restored on all lines at this time. So that one, I'm just reading that straight from their website. This just popped up here. So maybe things will start getting better. We will see. And last things here, I want to mention that we do have some slow traffic still left out there at the Bay Bridge. Our Bay Bridge camera is showing us traffic backed up to at least the MacArthur Maze, and the metering lights are on. 8:51. What about today's weather? Here's Rosemary.
All right. Thank you so much, sir. Cold and foggy still in many areas this morning. Partly cloudy skies around the bay along the coastline. And here's the view up above the clouds as we look towards Mount Diablo this hour. We will have mostly cloudy skies for our inland cities once again, and that is going to keep you on the chilly side throughout the day. Storm Tracker 2, that ridge is locked in firmly and not going to break down until the weekend. And with that, those storms continue to ride up and over California. There are advisories for flooding for the Pacific Northwest this week as an atmospheric river takes aim at areas of Oregon, Washington. 4 to 6 inches of rainfall is what they could see over the next few days. For us, nothing. We are going to be dry through the weekend. We begin to see the ridge break down just a little bit, and come next Monday will be our first opportunity at seeing some rain. Outside right now, visibility still an issue for some. Half-mile reported in the North Bay of Santa Rosa. Livermore reporting 2. It is patchy. It is thick in many areas through the Delta, the Carquinez Strait. You know how it goes, right? Kind of a pattern that we're seeing day after day. 47 right now, San Francisco. 59 at Half Moon Bay. So some of us are starting to rebound, but those stuck under the gray sky, it's a chilly one. Livermore, 41 outside your door. Afternoon highs for today, upper 50s to low 60s around the bay. Very seasonal for this time of year. But our inland communities just kind of suffering under that cold air and cloudy sky. 51 Concord for today, 51 in the North Bay of Napa. A minor warm up coming our way for tomorrow, followed by additional warming Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, when some of our warmer locations are expected to get into the upper 60s. It doesn't last. Our temperatures begin to drift down just a little bit in time for the weekend, with hopefully some rain coming our way on Monday. Andre?
Thank you so much, Rosemary. Dog owners may feel like they know exactly what their pets are thinking, but new research suggests many of us could be getting it wrong. When you join us on the 9, why experts say misreading a dog's emotions can lead to confusion, stress, and even dangerous situations.
Global health leaders say the world is closer to ending polio. Bill Gates says the global campaign is now within $440 million of reaching its goal. The latest contribution included $1.2 billion from the Gates Foundation. The global initiative supports efforts to vaccinate more than 300 million children a year.
Neighbors in San Francisco's Marina District are pushing back on plans to convert a grocery store into a 25-story apartment complex. The developer, Align Real Estate, wants to redevelop the Safeway on Marina Boulevard, building a new revamped store with dense housing on top of it. But neighbors worry about the impacts that temporarily closing the store would have on the community. Mayor Daniel Lurie has also voiced concern about the project despite his pro-development agenda. The proposal still has to be approved by city leaders.
Popular dating app Hinge is launching a new AI feature to help people move beyond small talk. The feature is called Convo Starters. It uses AI to provide personalized suggestions on how to start a conversation with your matches. Users will now see 3 suggestions for messages beneath each photo and prompt on a match's profile. A majority of Hinge users say they're more likely to be engaged with a match if the like also comes with a message. Hinge says those who include a comment with their likes are twice as likely to actually arrange a date.
An upgrade is planned for the Golden Gate Ferry fleet.
Right. The ferry system board approved over $100 million to start to purchase new boats to replace some of the aging vessels in the fleet. The new vessels will be more efficient than the ferries currently in service, and they'll give the ferry system some more flexibility with the hope of future expansion. The first of the new ships is expected to start service in 2027. New ships will go into service every year after that until the entire fleet is replaced.
New numbers out this morning show China is still the largest exporter of goods in the world. For the first time ever, China's trade surplus with other countries topped $1 trillion. And that means China exports $1 trillion more in products than it imports. No country has ever had a trade surplus of $1 trillion. It also appears U.S. tariffs have not had too much of an impact on China's net output. While exports to the U.S. dropped, exports to other parts of the world surged.
The Trump administration deported about 50 Iranian citizens over the weekend. The plane is making stops in Egypt and Kuwait. The U.S. chartered deportation flight was the second of its kind in the United States. For decades, the U.S. and Iran have not had diplomatic relations. The Trump administration changed that to reach a deal with Iranian leaders to coordinate the return of its citizens facing deportation. Taking a very quick break here on an extremely busy Monday morning on Mornings on 2. It's a gorgeous, quiet look, still dry. More than 2 weeks now when it comes to Bay Area weather. When might we see rain? There's a major issue affecting BART commuters, and a major earthquake just happened in Japan. We'll wrap it up for you and look ahead on the 9 next.